Well, the governor in Georgia is looking for ways to return our surplus budget back to the taxpayers, not Janet Mills of the great state of Maine. That's what you get, man. You vote for this lady, supposedly. Mills' budget maintains Maine's largest tax hike ever. And this is about Tom Desjardins. I tell you, man, this guy, big fan, long time, first time. So let's see how many. This is the Maine Wire. So we have 756 eyes on this. Ooh, I like it. I have to look at the. So I'm going to go a little bit more detail about Tom Desjardins because there's interesting stuff he has written on outside of this article right here. There used to be a guy, Desjardins, who used to play for the Montreal Canadiens. I can't stand that guy. Off the top of my head, I can't remember his first name, but Desjardins, every single time he would come through, and I hate the Canadians. And I was like, oh, was it Claude Desjardins? I don't think it was. Anyway. So apparently, Janet Mills is expecting a $2 billion visit from the Tooth Fairy. While introducing the third 2-year budget of her tenure, she explained that she intends to spend another $2 billion more with her new 2-year budget. And she does it all without raising taxes. If she spends $2 billion more without raising taxes, from where does this money come from? During her recent re-election campaign, she says, I'll never increase taxes. I've not increased taxes. We haven't reduced taxes. However, according to the state controller, the current budget, which she crafted with the legislator, includes an increase of revenue from taxes of $3 billion, a 40% increase from just over 2 budget cycles ago. Where does that revenue come from? It's coming from taxes. Where? How? When? The revenue collected to support this biennial budget includes the largest tax increase in Maine history. This is a simple numerical fact. Her proposed $2 billion budget increase for the next budget would again hike revenues by nearly as much tax revenues. She hasn't explained where it's going to come from. About 86% of this revenue included in every state budget comes from 2 categories: sales and use tax and income taxes. Mills' latest proposal cannot spend an additional $2 billion overall without taking an extra $1.7 billion from taxpayer pockets. And the new budget proposal then amounts to an average increase of $2,500 in taxes per person in the state of Maine, which would happen to be a nearly doubling of the $1,300 million has given to Mainers in inflation. Some Mainers in inflation relief. The proposed budget is possible thanks to revenue that resulted from wages and earnings from handouts from the federal government. The unprecedented recent spike in federal revenue made possible the gifts from Washington to Augusta that Democrats and state government used to buy votes. To the surprise of no one with even basic knowledge of economics, this massive, he talks about the massive spending leading to federal inflation. Not true, but whatever. Suddenly flush with cash from the federal government. Most of the people who received it went to pay off debt or make purchases. This is not a continuation thing. You cannot continue to give the taxpayers or to give people money who didn't earn it without raising taxes to somebody else. All right, all this temporary cash presented an unprecedented opportunity for legislatures to create fundamental change and lasting economic growth, rather than a one-time burst of spending. That's not what they did, though. They did not reduce the tax rates. All right. Not only has a positive impact been proven by 4 major federal tax cuts, with the Laffer curve, essentially. Contrary to belief that government spending is a solution to every problem, tax cuts leave money in people's pockets. People earn it. I completely agree. All right. Let's keep going down. With billions of dollars of excess revenue over the last 3 years, Maine state government had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make a bold move forward to reducing taxes. They went the other way around. Instead, it has taken the approach of gathering all the revenue it can and spend on favored political groups. That's politics, man. Depending on which study one reads, Maine ranks from 3rd to 9th in the nation for its tax burden, with a shrinking and aging workforce and higher energy costs. Yep, it's a desperate need of economic incentive in attracting more young people. I completely agree. And here's my man Tom Desjardins. All right, so he has written a couple books. I just came across this. Writes a lot about Joshua Chamberlain. I'm bored of Joshua Chamberlain, frankly. Everyone writes about Joshua Chamberlain. Can we write about somebody else, for heaven's sake? That's why I like the book on the Baxters of Maine. That was pretty interesting. But he did write this book right here. Let's go to, which looks interesting to me. I'm going to buy this today, as a matter of fact. Not on the Kindle. I'm going to buy a right here. Through a howling wilderness, Benedict Arnold marched to Quebec, 1775. Reminds me a lot of Kenneth Roberts' books, and Arundel. So if you read Kenneth Roberts, Arundel, and others, I just did a video on that guy because that guy crushed. He's dead, but he's one of the best writers of all time, in my opinion. Historical fiction is fun. But here, Desjardins is writing a great military history about the early days of the American Revolution. Before Benedict Arnold was branded a traitor, which is, he should not have ever been branded a traitor. Just all there is to it. They traitored him by not providing him the resources he needed for his soldiers that were under his command to fight a battle that the Congress put them up to. And yet Benedict Arnold said, I can't, these guys are clowns. I can't commit my young men to this. And so he turned, and they're like, oh, you're a traitor. Yeah. Anyway. He was one of the colony's most valuable leaders. 1,100 soldiers boarded ships in Massachusetts bound for the Maine wilderness. They had volunteered a secret mission under Arnold's command to march and paddle nearly 200 miles and seize British Quebec. Oh, man, I can't wait to read this. Because, again, we have, do we have Arundel on here? Maybe not. Anyway, so long time, well, not a long time, first time fan of Tom Desjardins. I haven't bought the book yet, but I actually going to do that today. So don't forget to subscribe. And if you got comments or thoughts on stuff that's happened in the great state of Maine you want me to report on, let me know. Be happy to do so from the warmth of Georgia. We'll see you.